Hey guys, I'm JanetOnOccasion, and today we are playing another Total War Warhammer II Battle Replay. This one is a community cast sent in by, I think it's pronounced, zachbsain. I think. I don't know if it's a gamer tag, if that's his real name, and I just don't speak whatever language you're supposed to use to pronounce that. Because it's all one word, zachbsain. I don't know. I don't know. I wish I could speak every language, but I don't. It would be great though. I could talk to dogs. But yeah, I can't. So zachbsain, that's my best impression of what that might be. But anyway, he's Bretonnia, and he's actually against Slaydex. I'm getting sent so many replays of people fighting Slaydex. Now that I've shown Slaydex a couple times on the channel, everyone's like, oh brilliant, Slaydex, he's really good, that'll be worth a cast. So I'm getting a ton of them, which I think is really funny. But anyway, so he's against Slaydex, that we know is a good player, alright? Let me just put that out there, he's a good player. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes. It's Bretonnia versus Beastmen, which I think could be very close matchup. It could be very close indeed. So here you see a load of spearmen at arms. Fairly defensive, but pretty easy to terrify. They're pretty easy to break, especially with a load of scary things that the Beastmen can bring. Also some peasant mobs. But here you got peasant bone with pox arrows and fire arrows. Nice combination. Nice combination indeed. I like to see this. Also, Beast Slayers of Baston. These guys very sturdy. They can actually hold the line very well against Bestigors. But of course, you do want them on the large targets. Things like Minotaurs and Gore Bulls. Fantastic. Fantastic to be able to use those there. Obviously, Centaurs too would be nice just because the anti-large. We don't really need the armor piercing for that so much. But still, very reliable units. 53 melee defense is not to be sniffed at. 80 armor, pretty damn good. So, very nice unit there. Also, a Damsel of Life, Regrowth, Shield of Thorns, and Earthblood. So really good abilities there. Love to see it. And here's the main bulk, right? He's got Grail Knights. Grail Knights, obviously superb. You know, that magic damage. I don't think it's really useful in this matchup. The magic damage as such, I'm trying to think if there's anything with physical resist, but it doesn't matter. They have great charge at 78, and good weapon strength, anti-large, ton of armor. They're just very good, and they have physical resist themselves and perfect vigor, which is so good because a load of Beastmen units have the same, you know. So if Beastmen can't tire you out, then they lose that advantage, you know. Them being fit and healthy doesn't matter because the Grail Knights are doing the same. Also here, Grail Guardians, so better in sort of a frontline fight, and that will be needed because the Spearmen will not hold out forever. So having something that's good in a prolonged fight is very, very handy. Also back here, even more Grail Knights, so a lot of punch. And King Lou and Leonka is just an absolute trooper. Love him. He is so good. He can nuke basically anyone. We've seen him against Beastmen before. Him being able to cause terror is really nice. And he's got Law of Life covered for his more expensive troops. So, you know, the Fey Enchanter is not so important here. Really nice. I love this guy as a pick. But the Beastmen here, very scary. Centaurs with throwing axes, great for whittling away cavalry. And you see they are going for those Grail Knights. And that is nice to get early damage in. Over here you can see Ungor Spearman herds. Same on the other side, and they're going to get backed up with the Centaurs with great weapons. Great weapons, lovely armor piercing, and if they can pad out an engagement, you know, even if it's Grail Knights or something, between the three of them, they can get really good armor piercing in, and they can hold for a long time. These guys might die in droves, but it doesn't matter. You know, they will take blows for the Centaurs to do their work. Also here you can see a Gore Bull, a Deathcaster, and Morga the Shadowgave. And Morga is weirdly useful in this matchup, in a way that doesn't seem kind of obvious straight away, because that second Chaos Spawn summon, the one that turns an enemy into Chaos Spawn, is especially good against Bretonnia, because all the cheap units run away before their health is low enough to be turned into Chaos Spawn. Which means the Chaos Spawn summons usually hit a very valuable target instead. So you actually get more value out of it, which I think is really funny. So, great pick. Love to see it. Ungor Raiders, you know, nice. Just be able to whittle things down. They stalk as well, which is kind of nice. But the front line, just two Bestigors and the Blackhorns Ravagers. So very good for just chopping through anything in the front line. You know, I mean, a load of Foot Squires might be able to hold up the Blackhorns Ravagers, but the Bestigors are going to beat Foot Squires, and with all this backup, it's going to be tough. Also, somewhere in the back, Mounted Yearmen as well. There are some Mounted Yearmen. So, speeding things up, you can see straight away the Grail Guardians are going to charge into these Bestigor herds, try and get some early damage in, and one of these Spearmen are going to peel off to keep these Centaurs away, because the Centaurs won't be able to reach the Grail Guardians now they're being pushed away, and that's the target they want to be on. They can't just cut across because of all this terrain. Over on this side, you can see the Grail Knights charge straight into the spears, and they're going to pull out, and they'll be replaced with the Spearmen at arms. Over here, though, these peasants are hardly making a dent in the front line. Here, the Damsel is in the fight. You do not want to be in here. The damsel really needs to leave. Nice rear charge, though, on the Grail Guardians as the Bestigors that have taken quite some damage being pinned by the Spearman's Arm. So brilliant use of cavalry. Charge in with the cavalry to get that good shock damage, and then charge something else while you replace them with something cheap to pin that unit in place so they can't chase. I think that's great. But look at this, Damsel Life just getting nuked. Spirit Leech on top of her as well now. She can't fight a Brave Shaman in melee. So, back here, Mounted Yeomen, they're getting into the archers to cause some problems, but those Centicles are great weapons, going to cut them to shreds. Over on this side, all of these units have managed to break through. These Chaos Warhounds got caught out while they were trying to run in, and these Grail Knights are free to attack some other units. Looks like they're going to go for these Centicles with throwing axes, but of course, these guys need to pay attention. They really do. They need to be able to get damage into these guys and run away. They can outrun them. But, yeah, this is looking great. There's a lot of free shots into the Grail Knights. Anyway, in the front line, Grail Guardians starting to suffer horribly, and the damsel's running away, being chased by a Gorbel. That's not good. That's not good at all. Ideally, though, you just want to get Centicles on top of her and bring the Gorbel back. So he's coming back, and it looks like some of this stuff is shifting around. But a load of these units have just been chasing things, which is not ideal. Not ideal at all. So, over here, you can see the Sword of Quran has been used, so it's lowering melee defense, so 18 melee defense on Morga. He's going to get hit every time. And here, the Grail Guardians, they're able to get some great hits in. There is Chaos Spawn here, which is a bit annoying, and still a ton of other very, very scary units. Beastmen of Baston, though, they managed to finish off the Blackhorn's Ravagers that do suffer against armor. They're not great at dealing with armored units. And now, these Centicles have been caught out. And over here, these Centicles have been caught out, and they're being shot in the back. So that is dreadful. And these Uncle Spears were pulled out of position as well, chasing a fleeing unit. So definitely some micro mistakes here on the side of the Beastmen. I mean, Beastmen, the more you micro them, the more you get out of them. So a lot of the time, micro is used on those few expensive units to maximize their effect, and sometimes the rest of the line's sort of forgotten about, you know? Too much attention on the things you can get the most value from. But it doesn't mean that these guys aren't going to be useful for bogging things down. Though we are bringing, you know, he is bringing them back. But here you can see the Grail Knights are now trying to get into this Gorbel. Now, this is a tough one. This is a tough one to call. The Grail Knights have taken some damage, but they've got good anti-large. They've got a good surround on him. But the Gorbel does have great armor, great weapon strength, good armor piercing, and anti-large himself. So he's great for killing knights. But you really want backup so he's not taking all the damage, because they, you know, they're not invincible. So over here, Bestigors obviously dealing with the Spearman arms. Over on this side, these Bestigors totally fine, and they're coming back into the fight. Over here, yeah, Beastmen Baston, they're struggling a bit, but Morga has taken a huge amount of damage, and Lewin's totally fine. He is totally fine. Back here, you can see the Grail Knights are dealing with the Centicores, and the Damsel did come back. She was able to heal herself up, which is super useful right now. You definitely want your Damsel in good stead in a fight like this, because this has turned out to be pretty grindy. This is not the quick battle you expect from you know, the Beastmen of Bretonnia. It's not everything charges in and then one guy comes out. No, there's been so many little maneuvers and stuff being chased off and brought back, and it's pretty hectic. So you need to be constantly healing things up. You know, there's a lot of space between things getting wiped out and things charging in, so you've got to be able to heal in those little moments of respite. Here you can see the Beastmen of Baston coming in to try and aid the Grail Knights, which is great news. And yeah, the Chaos Spawn are getting taken out. Here you can see the Grail Knights charging in. That Brave Shaman, once again the Damsel is fighting the Brave Shaman. But the Grail Knights are helping her this time, so it's definitely in her favour. And these throwing axes have been caught out again, which is superb. Here, once again, King Lewin is going for Morga. He can just beat Morga in a duel so easily. He hits so hard. Morga's great at being, you know, a very survivable, tanky lord, thanks to the fact that he's got alright melee defense, usually, and he regenerates, right? So he keeps getting his health back. But when you've got someone like Lewin who just hits super hard, he takes damage way quicker than he can regenerate, you know? Morga's in the frontline fight for hours, it doesn't matter. But if he's dueling someone like Lewin, he doesn't last long. He just doesn't. So, over here you can see the Grail Knights are doing a pretty fine job of killing this stuff. And the Gorbel is starting to suffer, but so are the Grail Knights. This looks like an even exchange between them, but the Grail Knights were pretty injured when they came into this fight. So now they're only really losing because the Bestigors have showed up. So that's pretty impressive that the Grail Knights can do so much work to a Gorbel. You know, Gorbel better for dealing with something like Lewin, I think. You know, again, they'd lose to Lewin, but they're better for something like that. You know, go for the single models with a Gorbel. That's what they're good at. And another dive on top of Morga, trying to get some damage in. And here you can see, this stuff is starting to break. You know, a line is forming here. This is handy. A lot of the A lot of the Beastmen stuff is here, a lot of the Bretonnia stuff is here, and there's not much else anywhere else. There's the odd straggler, but not a lot. But there's some great Overwatch fire with these fire arrows. These pox arrows can come back into the fight too. That's all really going to help. So everything charging in here. Grail Knights getting stuck in. Spearmen getting stuck in. And beautiful shots into the back of these Bestigor. Lewin charging in. Morgan's totally swamped. He can't avoid this. There's nothing else to take those blows and nothing with mass to get in the way. And that is game. Wonderfully played. Wonderfully played. Really cool. Really cool. Couple mistakes on both sides, I must say, but it was a good fight. I love seeing Bretonnia against Beastmen. For some reason, it feels really thematic. I know Beastmen are always, you know, running around Bretonnia. They're running around everywhere, but just somehow it just feels really good. You know, just such a beautiful, like, chivalrous, ordered, resplendent faction against a bunch of snarling, you know, pig monsters and things. It's great. Something about it, it just gets to me. But one thing that I didn't spot in that replay when I was just talking about it just now, you might remember. Yeah, you know I mentioned Morga and turning stuff into Chaos Spawn? Yeah, he managed to get these Grail Guardians. Yeah, they got turned into Chaos Spawn, which is pretty damn unfortunate. It's just great. Like, I just love that about Morga, you know, against Bretonnia especially, because you just can't feed him crap. You know, you can't just throw crap at him and expect that to get turned into the Chaos Spawn to help waste that charge, because everything's going to run away before it can even, you know, before that can happen. So it's always your more expensive units towards the end of the fight. Eventually, one of your really nice, beautiful knights of, you know, beautiful units of cavalry will charge in and turn into snarling, mucus-filled bullsack monsters. It's pretty funny. So yeah, it's weird. It's a weird effect, you know. Against Bretonnia, that has more use. It's not about spawning the Chaos Spawn, it's about what you turn into the Chaos Spawn that makes them especially powerful, you know? That makes it a especially powerful tool. I remember back in Warhammer 1, you could actually choose a unit. It didn't happen automatically. So the amount of times I turned steam tanks into Chaos Spawn, it just always made me chuckle. And I missed that. But you can still do stuff like that, you know? It's just difficult to set up. But against Bretonnia, it kind of sets itself up, just because the peasants won't stick around in the fight long enough to get that low on health when Morga's around. So it's pretty funny. It's pretty damn funny. So I love this. So yeah, zachbsain, that's how I'm saying it. That's how I'm saying it. Might be wrong. If it is, please do correct me. You know, I do like to get these things right. I like to show you guys the, you know, due respect. So please do correct me. But yeah, great builds from both of them. I don't know what I'd do differently with either of these. Honestly, I think both of them just worked out fine. I mean, the Spearmen at Arms were just good enough roadblocks to allow the cavalry to do their work. And if you need proof of that, check out that 329 kills from those Grail Knights. Yeah, they did alright. They did well. That's some good cav play right there. So, and yeah, I think this comp is great. I think the map definitely hindered Slaydex. It is so difficult to really make use of such mobility when you're on that map, you know? It's just, there's so many ways you can just get penned in or screened away. It's very difficult to stay on the targets you want and to be able to surround things and catch them out. You've got to go a very long way and people are going to see you coming. So the map, definitely a hindrance for Slaydex, I think, that doesn't really want to have a direct conflict against Bretonnia, you know? He wants to be able to kite around with the Centaurs, force the enemy to pull out of position so you can get the surround with the Centaurs, you know? Use the speed, use that infinite vigour to be able to run from one side of the map to the other on a, you know, on a whim, without tiring out. That's what you want to be able to do. You just can't on that map. It sucks. It's really annoying. But it does force you to have to, you know, play to the map, which I think is always fun. It helps mix it up a bit. But anyway, guys, I've waffled on long enough. If you enjoyed this, please do comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good day, guys.